Hey Hardywood fans, my name is Brian Nelson. I'm the head brewer at Hardywood Park Craft Brewery, and I'm going to be taking you on a virtual tour of our Hardywood West Creek. You can see behind me. That's our 65,000 square foot production facility where we do most of our brewing, and it lays on 16 acres of bucolic natural land that oversees the Tuckahoe Creek, which is a tributary into the James River, which we find our brewing water, our fantastic brewing water. And we're going to go inside and figure out how we brew beer. Cheers. Now guys, I'm standing in the middle of our massive tap room here at West Creek. It's a great tap room, but this is not where we started. We opened up our company in 2011. Co-founders Eric McKay and Patrick Murtaugh opened up a brewing business downtown Richmond. Most of you guys know that one off of Ownby Lane. And we started off in a smaller building, only 12,000 square foot there. We had not even a tap room when we opened up our business, but this is the tap room we always wanted. This one opened up in 2018 to the public and quickly brewing thereafter. You can see the bars over here that we serve all of our wonderful beer off of, and we have almost 9,000 square feet worth of tap room space to enjoy. So the whole concept behind the tap room as we designed this building was to showcase not only our beer, but the brewing process behind it. So you can see our brewing vessels, our fermentation vessels behind me. That way you're involved in it, you can see it, you can hear it, you can almost feel it as we're brewing. So guys, this is our tap room. Hope you guys can come visit us soon, and we're gonna move on to the next process, which is the hot side. Now I'm on top of our brew house stand here. Our process starts on this area here where we take raw materials and convert it over into beer at the end of the process, but it's got to start here, and no better way to start with our state-of-the-art 60-barrel Braucon German-built system, brew house system here. And this is where we start the process. We add the raw materials. In this case, is our malted barley. We source barley from Germany, from the UK, of course, the United States, and right here in Virginia as well. We have some local barley growers and maltsters that provide us for some quality barley in some of our beers. But it starts right here in our mash tun. This is our mash tun. What happens here is we mix that grain. It's already been cracked open and it's exposing the innards of it in order for us to add with hot water, activating some enzymes to denature those starches into sugars. That's going to be an important part of our fermentation process later on. From this vessel, we move it over to our lauter tun, and that basically acts as a filtering mechanism for that sweet liquid that we've gotten out of the mash. And what's going to happen is we'll let that strain through the grain bed. It acts as a natural filter through there. Add some water to rinse those grains to get all the sugars we want to get out of that malted barley, and we then pump it over to our kettle over here. So the kettle has a lot of functions. Not only does it sanitize the wort for fermentation, we also add the hops in there as well to give you some isomerized alpha acids, giving you those IBUs, those international bittering units you find in IPAs that are so high. In some beers you have them a little bit lower, but that happens in here. And sometimes you get some protein degradation in there to have clear beer in the end, as well as sometimes we'll add some spices in this to enhance our beer's flavor. From this point, this is about a 75-minute process. We'll then pump it over to our whirlpool. That's the far tank over there. And that acts as just a consolidation of all what we call trube at this point. We're talking about some proteins that have settled out, hop material, any other things that are going to be consolidated, and that will have us provide for clear wort to pull off to go to the fermentation vessel so the yeast can start to be happy. Hey guys, now I'm in the fermentation cellar. You can see behind me there's very large tanks. There's a couple different size tanks in this, and this is where all the action happens. This is where all of our brewers and cellarmen, packaging guys come and actually do all of the hard work to get the quality beer to you. The fermentation process goes as such. You have yeast added to the sweet wort that we just got from the brew house. It's cooled down to fermentation temperatures that the yeast are nice and happy with, and what they do is consume those sugars and provide alcohol and CO2 as a byproduct, among other things, but including flavors and some esters that we want to coax out of the beer, coax out of the yeast. But that's what all happens in these conical fermenters behind me. So we have, as our largest fermenters are 360 barrels, and we have as small as 20 barrel fermenters here. So those of you guys aren't familiar with what a barrel is, it's an industry term in the brewing industry. 1 barrel is 31 gallons. So we have a lot of beer capacity here, and we think we could do somewhere with the fermentation vessels we do have, somewhere around 30,000 barrels a year. So another thing that does happen in here, we do dry hopping in the cellar. That means we're throwing hops into already fermented beer and letting that age on the hops itself to provide some other aromas and flavors out of that. We're not getting any IBUs, we're not getting any bitterness from that fat function, but we do have a lot of flavor in our IPAs and aromas coming from that process. And as well, barrel aging. So Hardywood's getting known for their barrel aging procedures and process and just kind of passion for it. And this all happens in the cellar process as well. Now we have any given time somewhere around 250 to 300 barrels on hand full of beer. We're at a peak right now somewhere around 500 barrels full of beer for all the tasty things we have coming down for you this year in 2021. So guys, this is the cellar, and the next stage we'll move on to clarification. All right, now we've moved on to our packaging hall, which serves a lot of different functions if you look at it, not only from clarification of our beer, but to packaging and also getting to stage to go out to warehouses and grocery stores that you see out in the market there. But let's start from the clarification side of things. You can see behind me we have our centrifuge. That's our main method of clarification of our beer. And what happens is it takes the beer post-fermentation after the yeast has consumed all the sugars it can within that wort, and then it basically pulls it through there, spins all the solids out, and returns it back to what we call a bright tank at that point, where we top up carbonation. That gets rid of yeast. It gets rid of yeast and hop particulates, any other protein materials that would be in there, and it gets it ready for packaging and ready for you guys to enjoy. So also in this hall we have our packaging lines. We have our canning line back here, which does 45 cans a minute. And it really has satisfied us in 12-ounce cans and 16-ounce cans coming off there. We've been using that more often. It's been a workhorse for us. And then we also have bottling functions as well. So we have this beast of a machine back here, our 10,000 an hour bottle line that we have. It really runs when it's going straight. Takes a lot of maintenance to do, but it does run really well. And that's where you see all the stubbies coming out. Stubby bottles of Richmond Lager in great return. You also see single in the long necks and Pilsner that you see, and also our 750 milliliters you see of some of our barrel aged beers too. So a lot of versatility behind me on this machine, and it does do about 10,000 an hour, which is quite a clip when you look at it. So these are the machines that go through, and everything that we do coming off that line, even prior to coming off that line, going into the bright tanks and into your can and bottle, gets put through our quality process, and that's what we're going to go visit next.
Hey craft beer fans, Zach Simoncelli here. I'm the Quality Assurance Manager here at Hardywood, and we are standing in the Quality Obsession Lab at Hardywood West Creek. This is the nerve center of our quality assurance program. It's where all of the physical and microbiological testing goes on to ensure that every one of the products that comes through our lines and our tanks and into our packages and into your hands are meeting our quality standards and specifications. So just give you a quick overview of a few of the things that we are concerned with here. One of the most important ones is microbiological stability. So we've got a pretty robust micro program. We do PCR analysis to determine the presence of any unwanted microorganisms. We've also got a traditional media plating program so we can characterize and quantify those issues. But mostly we're concerned about making sure that the things that we don't want to be there aren't in your beer. We also have ways to, using our Anton Par C-Box, to evaluate carbonation and dissolved oxygen levels throughout our process, including in the package, making sure that our dissolved oxygen level is as low as possible, and we've got a nice shelf-stable beer for you that's going to taste nice and fresh every time you grab it. We also manage all of our yeast through this lab, so we've got a good old microscope to count and evaluate the health, the viability of our yeast cultures, and make sure they're all good and raring to go and in sufficient quantity and health to make the beer we want to make for you. So that's a very quick overview of the lab. Thanks for joining the tour, and we'll see you next time.
Hey guys, that's the end of our virtual tour. Thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate it. We also appreciate you as customers and Hardywood fans. We have a motto here at Hardywood. It's brew with purpose, and we take that seriously in every aspect of this business and this industry, not only just in brewing beer, but in community engagement, any business dealings. We keep that to heart. So we hope you guys, if you do anything, you do it with purpose as we would. And cheers, and be safe.